The Voidwalker flagship Eternal Dominion hung in orbit above the blue-green world, its obsidian hull absorbing all light that dared touch it. Fleet Commander Raxthos Nevharan stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, 12 eyes fixed on the holographic display of Earth. "Impossible," he whispered, mandibles clicking in agitation. "Scan again." His subordinate, Science Officer Peltra, nervously adjusted her crystalline sensory apparatus. "Commander, I've run the analysis 17 times. The results remain consistent. These humans," Raxthos pronounced the word like it tasted of decay. "They've repelled the Kazul Armada, outsmarted the Mist Collective, and now broken the siege of the Synaptic Alliance. They are a backwater species who only achieved spaceflight. 3 centuries ago, the bridge fell silent. The Voidwalkers had conquered 1,472 species across the galactic arm. None had resisted for more than a standard cycle. Yet the humans had been fighting for 27. "Show me their weapon," Raxthos demanded. Peltra's tendrils trembled. "That's the problem, Commander. We can't find it." Raxthos turned all 12 eyes toward her. "Explain." "Their ships are primitive. Their energy signatures are laughable. Their planetary defenses are rudimentary at best. By all calculations, they should have fallen within days. Yet, the hologram shifted to footage from the Battle of Proxima Centauri, a human vessel, tiny compared to the massive Voidwalker dreadnought. It performed seemingly impossible maneuvers. Not just evasive patterns. It was as if the ship anticipated the dreadnought's actions before even the dreadnought knew what it would do. "This makes no sense," Raxthos growled. "No AI is that predictive. No quantum computer that's sophisticated could fit on such a primitive vessel." "We believe," Peltra hesitated, "it might not be technological at all." The bridge erupted in dismissive clicks and hisses. Raxthos silenced them with a gesture. "You suggest biological?" "Commander, we intercepted communications from their command structure. They repeatedly reference something called intuition and gut feelings. These concepts don't translate properly." Raxthos scoffed. "Superstition. All species cling to mysticism before enlightenment. Respectfully, Commander, this is different. We've observed their military leaders making strategic decisions that defy logical analysis, choosing paths with only a 0.03% calculated chance of success, yet somehow succeeding." The hologram changed again, showing a human female with auburn hair tied severely back standing before a tactical display. Her name flashed beneath: Admiral Kezia Okoye, Earth Defense Force. Raxthos studied her with narrowed eyes. "She destroyed the Kazul flagship," he murmured, "their most advanced warship. With outdated missile technology," Peltra confirmed. "She claimed afterward that she had a feeling about their shield harmonics." Raxthos turned away, disturbed. "Have the Xenopsyche Division analyze every byte of human neural data we've collected. I want to understand this intuition." As he dismissed the meeting, Raxthos failed to notice the small vessel breaking atmosphere on the night side of Earth. Inside, a lanky man with mismatched eyes, one hazel, one gray, checked his coordinates. Captain Vero Kincaid didn't need sophisticated sensors to know the Voidwalker flagship was close. He could feel it, and he had a plan they would never see coming. 3 days later, Vero Kincaid's scout ship Improbable drifted through the debris field of what had once been an asteroid mining operation. His pilot Lumi Nakamori navigated with practiced precision, keeping them hidden among the twisted metal and fractured rock. "Tell me again why we're here instead of running," Lumi asked, her dark eyes never leaving the navigation console. The blue glow highlighted the intricate tattoos covering her hands, remembrances of the colonies lost to the Voidwalkers. "Because," Vero replied, studying a hand-drawn star chart. "This is where they won't look for us," Lumi snorted. "Yes, hiding next to their forward operating base seems perfectly sensible. You've served with me for 6 years. When have my hunches been wrong?" "There's always a first time," she muttered, but made the course correction he'd indicated. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, Raxthos reviewed the data from the Xenopsyche Division with growing frustration. You're telling me, he addressed the holographic figure of Dr. Vazin, that humans have an entirely separate system of cognition that operates alongside their logical processes? Precisely, Commander. They call it System 1 and System 2 thinking. The first is intuitive, rapid, and operates beneath conscious awareness. The second is deliberative, logical, and what we always assumed was the only form of true intelligence. Raxthos paced, his claws clicking against the metallic floor. But you're saying this System 1 actually provides valuable insights? More than valuable. Dr. Vazin's image flickered. It's pattern recognition on a scale we haven't evolved. Humans live in chaotic environments, atmospheric conditions that change hourly, social groups with complex, constantly shifting dynamics, predators that required anticipation rather than reaction. Every species faced evolutionary pressures, Raxthos dismissed. Not like this. Dr. Vazin projected a human brain scan. Their neural architecture is inefficient, messy, redundant, but paradoxically, that creates connections and associations our more specialized minds cannot form. Peltra, who had been silently observing, spoke. Is it possible to neutralize this advantage? Dr. Vazin's image shimmered with what might have been discomfort. We've developed a prototype neurosuppression field. It targets the specific brainwave patterns associated with intuitive leaps. Deploy it immediately, Raxthos ordered. Meanwhile, on the improbable, Varro felt a sudden chill. He rubbed his temples, trying to shake an inexplicable sense of dread. Something's wrong, he murmured. Lumi glanced at him. Care to elaborate on that extremely helpful assessment? Before he could respond, the ship's communications panel lit up. A coded transmission from Earth Defense Force headquarters. Field test detected. Neural suppression technology. All personnel avoid direct contact. They're trying to blind us, Varro realized. He looked at the star chart again, but the intuitive connections he'd been making seemed suddenly distant, like trying to recall a dream. We need to warn the fleet, Lumi said, already plotting a course out of the debris field. No. Varro's voice was firm. That's exactly what they expect. We have to... He stopped, grimacing as pain lanced through his head. Varro, they're targeting our intuition, he managed. But they don't understand what it really is. He dragged himself to the weapons console. Increase power to forward sensors, and prepare to drop our stealth field. Lumi stared at him. That's suicide. Varro smiled grimly. Trust me, sometimes the only way to follow your gut is to deliberately do the opposite of what logic dictates. That makes absolutely no sense, Lumi protested. Exactly, Varro replied, and that's precisely why it's going to work. On Earth, Admiral Kezia Okoye stood before the United Defense Council, her uniform pristine despite 3 days without sleep. The chamber was hushed, the gravity of the situation reflected in the drawn faces of the 12 representatives. The neurosuppression field is affecting approximately 60% of our intuitive capabilities, she explained, voice steady. Our officers report making decisions more slowly, with less confidence. Councillor Ekram Zahir, representative from the Asian Pacific Alliance, leaned forward. Then we've lost our edge. Perhaps it's time to consider the Voidwalkers' terms. Surrender is not an option, Keziah replied. We've analyzed their previous conquests. No species that surrendered exists anymore except as museum specimens. Then, what do you propose, Admiral? Asked Councillor Nyota Mbeki, her age-lined face betraying nothing. Keziah activated the holographic display in the center of the chamber. We lean into what they don't understand about us. Humanity's greatest strength isn't just intuition, it's our diversity of thought. The display showed brain scans of multiple humans side by side. Look at these neural patterns. Each is radically different. Some of us are highly intuitive, others rigorously logical. Some think visually, others mathematically. The Voidwalkers' civilization is built on conformity. They literally cannot comprehend our cognitive diversity. How does this help us overcome their suppression field? Councillor Zahir pressed. Because, Keziah smiled for the first time, neurodivergence. She tapped her console, and new brain scans appeared. 20% of humans have neurological structures the Voidwalker's field doesn't affect. People with certain forms of autism process intuition differently. Some with ADHD have unique pattern recognition abilities. The field was designed for neurotypical humans. In the debris field near the Voidwalker base, Varro was struggling to maintain focus as the suppression field intensified. His instincts were muffled, like trying to hear underwater. "They're scanning for us," Lumi whispered, as another Voidwalker patrol ship drifted past their hiding spot. "Good," Varro muttered, though his usual confidence was wavering. The comm panel chirped quietly, a secure channel from Earth. Lumi activated it, and a message scrolled across the screen. "Operation Neurodivergent authorized. Captain Kincaid, you have been selected based on your brain structure. Your orders: close with enemy flagship. You will receive specialized crew within the hour." Before they could respond, 3 small stealth pods docked with the improbable. When the airlock cycled open, Varro found himself facing 3 individuals in specialized EDF uniforms. "Captain Kincaid," said the leader, a woman with close-cropped, silver hair and intense focus in her eyes. "I'm Major Indira Kaur. We're your new tactical team." "What makes you special?" Lumi asked bluntly. "We're not affected by their field," replied a lanky man with perpetually moving hands. "I'm Lieutenant River Calloway. My brain never worked like everyone else's anyway." The third member, a stocky person with a completely shaved head, didn't offer a name but simply nodded acknowledgement. "You're saying the neurodivergent among us are immune?" Varro asked. "Not immune," Major Kaur corrected. "But we process pattern recognition and intuition differently enough that their suppression field doesn't shut us down completely." Varro felt a flicker of hope. "Then what's the plan?" "We're going to hack their flagship," said River, grinning broadly. "And I'm going to show them what a hyper-fixated autistic brain can do when it's been obsessing over their technology for the past 5 years." "That's bold," Varro managed. Major Kaur's expression remained serious. "Captain, humanity is facing extinction. Bold is all we have left." Back on the Eternal Dominion, Raxthos received troubling reports. Despite the neurosuppression field operating at maximum capacity, several human vessels were still moving in unpredictable patterns. "How is this possible?" he demanded. Peltra's answer was interrupted by a proximity alarm. "Commander, we're detecting a small ship approaching rapidly from the debris field." "Destroy it," Raxthos ordered dismissively. "Sir," Peltra's voice held confusion. "It's broadcasting a Voidwalker recognition code, one of our own scout ships." Raxthos narrowed his eyes. Impossible, but the code was valid. Stolen, perhaps, but functional. And as the tiny human ship drew closer, Raxthos couldn't shake the feeling that something profound was about to change. The improbable drifted toward the Eternal Dominion, its stolen Voidwalker identification codes granting them temporary safe passage. Inside the cramped vessel, River Calloway's fingers danced across 3 separate data tablets simultaneously, his eyes tracking multiple streams of information with unnervingly perfect focus. "Their security architecture is fascinating," he murmured, more to himself than the others. "It's built on perfect mathematical symmetry, no random elements, no chaos factors." "Is that a weakness?" Varro asked, watching the massive Voidwalker flagship grow larger through the view screen. "It's their entire cultural blind spot," River replied without looking up. "They evolved in environments of perfect order. Their home world has no seasons, no weather patterns, no geological activity. They never needed to adapt to chaos." Major Kaur checked her weapon, a retrofitted pulse rifle designed to penetrate Voidwalker exoskeletons. "Reminds me of my doctoral thesis on evolutionary neurobiology. Adaptation requires stress." "We're 2 minutes from their security perimeter," Lumi announced. "After that, they'll scan us physically." The unnamed tactical officer, who had eventually introduced themselves simply as Dex, spoke for the first time, their voice surprisingly melodic. "I've analyzed their sensor systems. They operate on ultra-high frequencies that reflect off carbon-based life forms. Meaning they'll detect us immediately, Vero concluded. Not necessarily. Dex removed several small devices from their pack. These are sensory chaff pods. They'll create enough carbon-based static to confuse their systems for approximately 14 minutes. Vero raised an eyebrow. How did you develop these? Pattern recognition, Dex replied simply. I see frequencies as colors. Their scanning technology glows magenta with yellow striations. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, Raxthos studied the approaching human vessel with growing suspicion. Something wasn't right. The recognition codes were perfect, but the flight path showed minor deviations from standard Voidwalker protocols. Prepare a containment team, he ordered. I want that ship secured the moment it docks. Commander, Peltra interrupted, her sensory apparatus pulsing with alarm. We're detecting unusual carbon signatures dispersing throughout our docking bay. Meaning? It appears to be chaff of some kind. Our sensors are having difficulty maintaining precise readings. Raxthos slammed one of his forefists onto the console. It's a human trick. Lock down all systems immediately. But it was already too late. The moment the improbable had crossed into the Voidwalker docking bay, River had transmitted a precisely calibrated signal directly into the flagship's central processing core. What did you just do? Vero asked as they prepared for boarding action. River's eyes gleamed with excitement. I sent them something their perfect mathematical minds can't process, a paradox loop. Self-referential equations that require intuitive leaps to resolve. And that accomplishes what exactly? Lumi asked skeptically. Their entire ship runs on distributed quantum processing, River explained, hands fluttering with enthusiasm. Every system, every door, every weapon is connected to that central mind. And right now, that mind is completely preoccupied trying to solve an unsolvable problem. Major Core checked the external sensors. Chaff is dispersing. We have 13 minutes before their security systems adapt. Vero nodded, feeling a familiar tingle at the base of his spine. The intuition the Voidwalkers had tried so hard to suppress beginning to reassert itself. Then let's introduce them to another uniquely human concept. What's that? Dex asked. Vero grinned as he checked his own weapon. Improvisation. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, alarms blared as system after system fell into diagnostic mode. Raxthos watched helplessly as weapons, shields, and even basic life support functions began cycling through endless reboot sequences. What is happening? He demanded. The chief systems operator, a six-limbed specialist with direct neural links to the ship's computer core, writhed in apparent pain. The central processor is confused, Commander. It's being forced to consider mutually exclusive possibilities simultaneously. That's impossible, Raxthos insisted. Our quantum systems are designed to handle superpositioned states. Not like this, the operator gasped. These aren't quantum states, they're logical contradictions. Statements that are both true and false simultaneously. Peltra's sensory stalks quivered with realization. Commander, I believe I understand what the humans are doing. They're exploiting the fundamental difference between our cognition and theirs. Explain, Raxthos growled. Humans live with contradiction every day. Their emotions contradict their logic. Their desires contradict their needs. They've evolved to function despite these internal paradoxes. She paused. Their brains don't crash when faced with unsolvable problems. They simply accept the ambiguity and move on. As if to punctuate her assessment, the docking bay doors suddenly exploded inward. Chaos erupted throughout the Eternal Dominion as emergency containment protocols activated automatically, sealing off sections of the massive vessel. Voidwalker security forces mobilized with mechanical precision, but their coordination was compromised by the paradox loop infecting their communication systems. Vero led his small team through the labyrinthine corridors, following the route River had memorized from stolen schematic fragments. Unlike human ships with their practical utilitarian design, the Voidwalker flagship was a disorienting blend of non-Euclidean geometry and biomechanical components that pulsed with eerie luminescence. This architecture makes no sense, Lumia muttered as they passed a corridor that seemed to bend upward at an impossible angle. Actually, it's perfectly logical if you understand 11-dimensional spatial theory, River replied absently, his attention focused on a portable scanner. Left here. They encountered surprisingly little resistance as they moved deeper into the ship. The few Voidwalker soldiers they did face seemed disoriented, their normally perfect coordination fragmented. The paradox loop is affecting their neural implants, Dex observed. They rely on distributed intelligence. Without it, they're still dangerous but not synchronized. Major Corps dispatched a confused guard with a precise shot. We have approximately 8 minutes before their systems develop an immunity to River's code. We need to reach the central chamber. As they rounded another corner, they suddenly faced a sealed barrier, a massive door of some unknown alloy that radiated cold. This wasn't on the schematics, Vero noted. River studied it, his expression distant as his mind processed countless variables. It's a quantum-locked chamber. The barrier exists in multiple states simultaneously until observed from the inside. Meaning, we can't get through, Lumi concluded. Not necessarily. River reached into his pack and removed what appeared to be a small mirror. This is quantum-entangled glass. Admiral Okoye's science division developed it based on captured Voidwalker technology. He carefully placed the device against the barrier's surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like shattering ice, the barrier became transparent. It's forcing the quantum state to collapse from our side, River explained as the barrier dissipated. We're essentially tricking it into thinking it's being observed from within. They stepped through into a vast chamber that stretched before them like the interior of a cathedral. If cathedrals had been designed by beings with a fundamentally alien concept of space. At the center floated a pulsating crystalline structure, suspended in a column of energy that shifted through colors human eyes had no names for. The ship's true brain, Major Kaur whispered. And our target, Vero added, moving forward purposefully. But before they could reach it, a voice echoed through the chamber. Not over speakers, but somehow resonating directly in their minds. I wondered when you would arrive, Captain Kincaid. From behind the crystalline brain, Fleet Commander Raxthos emerged, his 12 eyes fixed on the humans. Unlike the other Voidwalkers they'd encountered, he wore no technological augmentations, no neural implants, no weapon systems. You know who I am, Vero stated, raising his weapon. Of course. Raxthos moved with disturbing fluidity. You are the anomaly we could not account for. The human whose intuitive leaps defy our predictive models. Vero felt Major Kaur tense beside him, ready to fire, but he subtly signaled her to wait. You've been expecting us, Vero realized. The moment your ship approached, I knew it must be you. Raxthos performed a gesture that might have been the Voidwalker equivalent of a shrug. Your neurosuppression field was disabled the moment you entered this chamber. Did you not wonder why your intuition suddenly returned? Vero had indeed noticed the clarity returning to his thoughts, the connections forming unbidden. You want to understand it? More than anything, Raxthos admitted. In all our conquests across 17 galaxies, we have never encountered beings like you humans. Your cognitive processes are beautiful in their messiness. Beautiful? Lumi scoffed. You've been trying to exterminate us for decades. Because you terrify us, Raxthos replied simply. The admission hung in the air, stunning the humans into momentary silence. River was the first to recover. You're afraid of our intuition. We are afraid, Raxthos corrected, of what you might become. Your species learns by integrating disparate thought patterns. You evolve through cognitive diversity. While we perfect a single path of thought, you explore thousands simultaneously. Vero studied the Voidwalker commander carefully. This conversation is a stalling tactic. Raxthos's mandibles clicked in what might have been appreciation. Indeed. Even now, my ship is routing around your paradox loop. In 3 minutes and 42 seconds, all systems will be restored. Enough talk. Major Kaur raised her weapon. Wait. Vero held up his hand, that familiar tingle at the base of his skull intensifying. There's something else. Something he's not telling us. Raxthos's compound eyes seem to focus more intently on Varro. Fascinating. You sense it without evidence. This isn't just about conquest, Varro realized. You've been studying us, testing us. For what purpose? Dex asked. Before Raxthos could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. The crystalline brain pulsed with increasing intensity, its colors shifting toward red. It seems, Raxthos said almost regretfully, that we have run out of time for explanations. Override initiated, a disembodied voice announced throughout the chamber. Purity protocol activated. Raxthos's posture changed instantly from contemplative to alarmed. No, he barked, turning toward the crystalline brain. Command override. Raxthos Prime. Authorization sequence void epsilon tau. Override denied. The voice responded tonelessly. Purity protocol supersedes command authority. What's happening? Varro demanded, weapon still trained on the Voidwalker commander. Raxthos turned back to the humans, his 12 eyes blinking in a complex pattern that River recognized as extreme distress. The collective has deemed me compromised. They're initiating a purge, not just of this ship, but of this entire sector. Including Earth, Major Core concluded grimly. Yes. Raxthos moved toward one of the control interfaces. They monitor all command-level communications. My fascination with human cognition has been judged heretical. Lumi laughed bitterly. So the genocidal aliens have their own thought police. How poetic. We need to destroy this ship, Dex stated flatly. That won't stop the Purity Protocol, Raxthos replied. The command has already been transmitted to the entire fleet. Within hours, they will converge on your solar system with sterilization weapons. Varro lowered his weapon slightly. You're helping us now? Why should we believe you? Because, Raxthos's voice took on a strange quality. I have been studying humans for 27 of your years, and in that time I have developed something my species considers impossible. What's that? Varro asked. Doubt. The word seemed painful for Raxthos to pronounce. The cornerstone of human intuition, the willingness to question one's own certainty. River stepped forward, eyes fixed on the crystalline brain. The fleet operates on distributed intelligence just like this ship. They're all connected. Precisely, Raxthos confirmed, which means they share the same vulnerability. The paradox loop, Varro realized. But you said your systems were already routing around it. A single paradox, yes. Raxthos turned to River. But what about thousands, millions? What if every human on Earth contributed their own unique logical contradiction? Major Carr's eyes widened. A distributed intuition attack. We'd need to broadcast it on frequencies the Voidwalker fleet can receive, Dex noted, and amplify it enough to reach them all simultaneously, Lumi added. This ship can do both. Raxthos moved to another control interface, his forehands working with incredible speed. But the broadcast must contain sufficient cognitive diversity to overwhelm our filtration systems. Varro tapped his communication device. Admiral Okoye, are you receiving this? After a moment of static, Kazaya's voice came through. We're here, Captain, and we've been monitoring your situation. The plan is already in motion. What plan? Varro asked. Operation Babel, she replied. We're collecting paradoxes, koans, optical illusions, and unsolvable problems from every human culture on Earth. Artists, philosophers, mathematicians, children, everyone is contributing. River laughed suddenly. It's perfect, the ultimate expression of human cognitive diversity. We need access to your broadcast array, Varro told Raxthos. The Voidwalker commander manipulated the controls, opening a secure channel. Done. But you should know this is likely a one-way transmission. The feedback could destroy both the array and anyone operating it. I'll do it, River volunteered immediately. My pattern recognition skills give me the best chance of managing the flow. No, Varro shook his head. We need your mind intact for what comes after. I'll handle the transmission. Major Kaur stepped forward. With respect, Captain, this requires someone with advanced neural mapping experience. That's me. None of you can do it alone, Raxthos interrupted. The array requires simultaneous operation of 4 distinct control nodes. We must all participate. A moment of silence fell as the implications sank in. A joint human Voidwalker operation, Dex observed quietly. The ultimate cognitive diversity. If we succeed, Lumi asked, what happens to you? Raxthos's mandibles clicked softly. I will be considered as corrupted as this ship, a heretic to be purged. Then come with us, Varro offered, surprising himself with the sincerity of the invitation. Earth could use a Voidwalker perspective. Before Raxthos could respond, the crystalline brain pulsed violently, and the ship shuddered around them. The purity protocol is accelerating, Raxthos warned. We must act now or lose everything. They took their positions around the broadcast array, Varro, River, Raxthos, and Major Core, while Dex and Lumi established the connection to Earth. As the transmission began flowing through, Varro felt something extraordinary happening. The paradoxes and contradictions from billions of humans flooded into the Voidwalker network like water breaking through a dam. And as the ship began to shake apart around them, Varro understood at last humanity's true secret weapon. Not just intuition, but the diversity that made intuition possible. The willingness to embrace chaos rather than impose order. As the chamber filled with blinding light, Varro caught Raxthos's gaze one final time. In those alien eyes, he saw something unmistakably familiar: hope. Epilogue. 3 months later, Admiral Keziah Okoye stood atop the rebuilt Earth Defense Force headquarters in Geneva, watching the sunrise paint the sky in hues of gold and crimson. Beside her, still adjusting to Earth's gravity, stood Raxthos, Nevharan, the first and only Voidwalker to be granted asylum on Earth. The Integration Committee meets today, Kezia noted. Are you prepared? Raxthos's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. As much as one can be when facing a room full of humans demanding explanations. They'll have many questions about Voidwalker technology, and I have many questions about human paradoxes, Raxthos replied. A fair exchange. They fell silent as a small memorial service concluded in the courtyard below. 3 months had passed since Operation Babel, but the cost remained fresh. The broadcast had indeed triggered a catastrophic feedback loop through the Voidwalker fleet, disabling their weapons and navigation systems long enough for Earth's forces to neutralize the threat. But the price had been high. The Eternal Dominion had been destroyed in the process, along with everyone aboard the broadcast chamber. Almost everyone. As if summoned by their thoughts, a figure in a wheelchair emerged onto the observation deck. River Calloway's face bore the scars of severe neural feedback, but his eyes remained sharp and alert. They're calling it the Babel Cascade now, he announced without preamble. The effect is still propagating through Voidwalker territory. Reports suggest at least 30 subjugated species have already declared independence. And the others who survived? Keziah asked gently. River's expression clouded. Dex is recovering well. Their synesthesia actually protected them somewhat from the worst of the feedback. Lumi, he hesitated. The doctors say she might regain partial vision eventually. Raxthos lowered his head in what had become recognized as a gesture of respect. Captain Kincaid's sacrifice will not be forgotten. It wasn't just Varro, River corrected. It was Major Kaur too, and you were willing to make the same sacrifice. Which brings me to why I called you both here, Keziah said, turning to face them fully. The United Defense Council has approved the formation of a new division, the Cognitive Integration Unit. Its purpose will be to study and implement the lessons we've learned about diverse thinking and intuitive processing. And you want us to join, River guessed. I want you to lead it, Keziah corrected. Both of you, human and Voidwalker, logic and intuition, the perfect synthesis. Raxthos's compound eyes reflected the sunrise. There are more Voidwalkers who think as I do, who have developed Doubt. They will seek asylum here. They'll be welcome, Kezia assured him. The age of conquest is ending. The age of integration has begun. River smiled, the expression pulling against his scars. Varro would have liked that. He always said humanity's greatest strength wasn't our technology or our intuition. What was it then? Raxthos asked. Our capacity to change, River replied simply, and to help others change too. As they gazed out at the new day dawning over Earth, Raxthos felt something stirring within him, a sensation his species had no name for, but that humans had been experiencing for thousands of years. It wasn't quite intuition, not yet, but it was a beginning. End.